Hello everyone, my name is Brandon.
My name's Miranda.
And today we're going to be reviewing Switchfoot's 11th release, regular release. Because I hate when people say release, but then there's also EPs and all, LPs.
Yeah, LP.
11th LP, Native Tongue.
Which I am repping with my Native Tongue tour shirt and
Miranda,
bracelet.
would you say that Switchfoot is your favorite band of all time, or definitely top 5?
I feel like I have to call them my favorite band because I have a tattoo of their lyrics, and I'm planning on getting 2 more tattoos of their lyrics. But I don't know, probably. We'll just say it is.
Alright, I guess, being a Switchfoot fan, when the hiatus happened and all, I guess maybe what were your thoughts, and then when they released this album, going into it, were you expecting, a different sound, the same sound, or what were kind of your thoughts pre-listening to the album?
So, for all you ladies out there that don't know, Switchfoot had a hiatus after When the Light Shines Through, their album. They said they did. And then they came out with another album the same time that they usually come out with another album. So when it came out, or when they said they were going on a hiatus, I was like, oh, that's sad. But, they literally are always doing things, and they're one of, the best marketing bands that, anybody, I think the best sustained marketing band. So I was getting emails every time they had a deal on whatever, and they were like, we miss you, we love you. And so it didn't really feel like a hiatus. And so I was just like, that's fine, because their old stuff is so much, and also John Foreman has so much, so it's I don't know. It never feels like a hiatus whenever they're done doing their things. So I was fine with it, because I was like, you know what, they've been touring for 40 years, so maybe they should take a little rest. But yeah, I was really excited when they said they were coming out with a new album, but I was also I expected it. This is gonna happen anyway, so.
So you weren't expecting a DC Talk type hiatus. You figured it was only gonna be maybe a year or 2 or whatever. Because I think it was 3 years between releases, or.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it came out at the end of 2018, and then June of 2016 is when the Light Shines Through came out. So 2.5 years.
Okay.
Which was, yeah, no, I didn't expect them to go away for long, because they're really communicative towards their fans, so they would have told us if they broke up or something.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dig into it. First off, we can look at what we liked about the album. One thing right off the top was 14 tracks. I feel like that's what an album should be. I remember when every album used to be at least 13 tracks, maybe up to 18 tracks. And I hate when bands do an 8-track release, because I'm I don't care even if every song is 8 minutes long. It needs I need at least 10 songs for it to even be an album. Another thing I really like about it is kind of with every Switchfoot album, I feel like I'm at a concert, whenever I'm listening to it. And some bands, they don't really do a good placement of their songs. You'll have 3 really rocking songs and the rest be quiet or whatever. But I feel like Switchfoot, each album of theirs that I've listened to, and I'm not by any means a hardcore Switchfoot fan, but from what I've listened to from them, every album I was they could play this album in its entirety and it would be a really good show. Mm-hmm. Those were the two big things that really stood out to me with this release. So what were some of the things you enjoyed with it?
So when I first listened to it, I don't know, I have to be in a certain mood to actually listen to something, and I guess I just wasn't that right when it came out. But my friend, who doesn't really listen to anything rock oriented at all, was listening to it, and she really liked it, and she really liked Take My Fire too, which I was that's the most hardcore song of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But she was I don't know if it was different than the other albums, or if it was just she never actually listened to it. But then I listened to it with that mindset, and I realized that it's very different. And one of the things that I love about Switchfoot is that they have so many albums, and they talk about the same things pretty much every album, but it's all new and different, and I don't think it's really repetitive at all anytime they do it. But the fact that they I think that this album is really different than their past albums. Especially, I don't know why it's different or how it's different, but I think it really is, and I think that it's really cool that they can be so different on their 11th album, and it still feel fresh and like they're coming up with new ideas, and like they just came up with like what they feel in each song. So I really appreciated that.
All right. And then some of the things we didn't like on it. I think like one thing I kind of noticed off the bat was that it didn't seem like an album that gets put out after hiatus. Like it kind of felt like I don't know. I feel like sometimes when bands come off a hiatus, they put out some of their best work or after they've taken like a break. And this kind of felt like once again, I'm not like a huge Switchfoot fan, but from what I've heard of theirs, I'd probably put this like in the middle. Like I wouldn't put this at the top. I wouldn't put it at the bottom. I would kind of just put it in the middle. And then what was weird is that I felt like you said, they sing about the same things on every album. And my whole thing is that I'm not for or against that, because I'm a big believer in if something's working, why be different just to be different? But at the same time, like it can hurt you, like when it's okay, that's always the same problem, it's always the same fix. And what was weird about this one is that I felt like it was like the songs were like the sound was different, but then like the topics are kind of the same. So it was like it wasn't different enough, but at the same time it wasn't like classic like Switchfoot. So I kind of found myself not like, I'd say probably half the album when I was listening to I caught myself thinking, I kind of want to skip this song and get to like the next and maybe see what's behind there. What were some of the things you didn't really care for at the album?
Yeah, I think that like by no means did I not like any of the songs, but a lot of them were just like, this is what I expected and this is how you did it. And that's, I mean, it's fine. I think, so like to answer you about like why they made it or whatever, they just said that they had so much to write that they had to make an album because they just like had an overflowing of stuff. So I don't really think it was like, I mean, I think it was a hiatus because like honestly, like their pianist got cancer, and so I think they just wanted to like chill with their family and stuff during that time. But I think that this is really, it's really like an example of like how their music came up after like that scare that happened. But I also agree, like I love a lot of the songs. What's the second to last song? We're Gonna Be Alright. I really like that song, but also I feel like it's just like, yep, it's another happy Switchfoot tune. But I don't know, it just seemed more expected than usual. And so it wasn't, I mean, I know I said like they do the same thing, but they do it differently. But it was just also like, it was a different expectancy. I don't know what I'm saying, but Switchfoot gets me. I also like, I appreciate that they did songs like Oxygen and The Hardest Art, but I'm glad that was just experimental stuff that they didn't want to repeat after, because I didn't really dig it. And I think that like they have room and, you know, like the ability to do that. And I really like their lyrics always, but I don't think that they should keep doing music like that.
All right. Or probably, I guess, what's our favorite song? For me, I really, really liked Let It Happen. And I really liked You're the One I Want. I feel like I'd have to give that a couple more listens to see if I really like it or if it's kind of like corny or whatever. But I felt like I really like Let It Happen. And then even like Native Tongue, like even before I was kind of sold or like wanted to listen to the whole album, just that song I was listening to like on repeat, and I felt like it was just a really good track, really catchy. And I think two of their things is like, it's catchy, but there's also some depth to it. Like it's not just a radio single you put out there that's corny or whatever.
That's why I like it, because you can listen to it more and it still has meaning.
What was your favorite, or I guess I said 2 or 3 songs though.
That's fine, I'm going to choose 2 or 3. But wait, I have to say something else. I also don't like that it started with Let It Happen, because that seemed like more like a third song. And I feel like Native Tongue would have been much better start. Like it kind of just started it like, oh, it's kind of just like, let it happen. And it made me sad starting it. And I also don't like the ending. I feel like that was a good ending, but I don't know. Anyway, favorite songs. I cried when I first heard Prodigal Soul, and I'm probably gonna get a tattoo of that. And I love it so much, and I heard it live, and it was a lot. So I like that song. A Wonderful Feeling was also a expected song. I'm sorry, I'm just realizing more things. I really like Dig New Streams, but it makes me feel because I got VIP for the tour, and they did that the like pre-show or whatever, and they were like, people put your hands up, and we were all just standing there like with no hands up, and it just made me sad. But I do really like that, and I love when it's like multiple songs in one, and that was like 4 songs in one. And so I dug it, and I like the theme that like Voices put throughout the album, because like they talked about voices in our head, and it was really cool.
I guess final thoughts. When I was like listening to this, I was reading a couple of different reviews, because like I said, I'm not like a huge Switchfoot fan, so it's kind of thinking like, well, when we're reviewing something, like what have they put out before, what's kind of the general feeling, and I was surprised to see a lot of it was negative towards this album, because I didn't really feel like it was a bad album. Like it's probably something that, there's a couple of these that I would add to like my playlist, and I think that's usually the mark of a good album, is that even after the review, you're going to listen to some of them. Like for me, I kind of just put it, I would say maybe average, above average, like that kind of category. I think it's definitely something people should check out. What were your final thoughts on it?
I feel like this kind of sums up what I didn't like about it. I feel like with their last album, every single song was like a new thought, new idea, and new execution of it, even if it wasn't a new thought. And this one, like, I think that's why I didn't like Wonderful Feeling and We're Gonna Be Alright, because I feel like those are kind of just, you could have just had one of those songs. And then like Oxygen, The Hardest Art, you could have just had one. And so I feel like it was kind of redundant, but I mean, yeah. So I think it was a bit redundant, but like the doubles of the songs that could have been one, like they're both really good. So it's not like their worst album by far, but it's not the most unique and like thought forward album that they have come out with.
So as I asked you this before we started, like as a diehard Switchfoot fan, this being the 11th like full album release, where would you rank this just off the top of your head?
I think it'd probably be like solid middle 6 or maybe 5. But yeah, they have amazing albums, so it's hard to rank them all, but it's definitely not in the top 5. But it's great.
All right, well, there you go. We hope you enjoyed this review of Switchfoot's latest release, Native Tongue.
Yay.
I am Brandon.
I'm Miranda.
And we'll see you later.